College football quarterfinals. They should call it the Elite Eight. It's just it sounds way cooler than CFP quarterfinals, you know?
It's what everyone wants to say, but you feel wrong saying it because that's hoops, but it's the Elite Eight. That's what we're in here.
But let's start. Let's just go in order. Penn State first versus Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl. Game 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday night. Penn State currently a 12-point favorite. And my first thought on this game is I desperately want more college football playoff home games, but I am so damn glad this game isn't on the Smurf turf. My eyes, that field, my eyes and that field do not mix well.
I don't know if this ever became an actual rule, but I remember at one point they threw around like if your stadium isn't the right size, isn't doesn't check whatever boxes they need checked, that you have to move it to a neutral site or a different location. And I'm sure Boise State would have been one.
Well, like an NFL stadium, the closest NFL stadium or something
Yeah.
like that. Penn State's got so much talent on defense. I just have to assume they're going to have a plan for Ashton Genty. So the question then becomes, can Maddox Madsen win the game with his arm? And despite having an awesome quarterback name, Maddox Madsen, I mean, come on. That's a QB name if I've ever heard one. I just, I don't think he's going to be able to get it done against Penn State. I think Penn State's defense is going to be able to play at a high level in this one. And I just don't think Boise State has the athletes on the outside to threaten Penn State down the field. I expect the Nittany Lions to roll in this game.
I do too. It's just like when what do they say? Styles make fights, right? And for matchups, they're, I mean, I guess there could have been a worse matchup for Boise State, but Penn State's really good along the line of scrimmage, and their defense is really tough, good against the run. Like Arizona State would have been the matchup that Penn State could have had a lot of trouble with. Boise State doesn't feel like the matchup where, I mean, let's call it how it is. They are where they are because of their running back and because of their running game. They've got a super special player there, but it is way harder to take over a game at running back against these style of teams. These, like whenever you're giving up across the line of like matchup across the line of scrimmage, O line versus D line, second level, like you favor Penn State massively. I just think that that's going to be very difficult for Boise State to overcome. Now, they've had a lot of time to prepare, had a lot of time to cook things up, and as Oklahoma fans, we know that Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl is not where you want to be. So I I really hope Boise State wins so we can stop playing the what was it, the '07 Fiesta Bowl highlights.
Are you sure that if they win, it wouldn't just increase because now
No,
Boise
I'm
all of
not
a
sure.
sudden becomes the king of the Fiesta Bowl and they just add the Penn State highlights on top of the OU highlights? That
You
they
know what?
just
That's
refuse to stop playing on television as this game approaches.
I mean it. You're right. It probably just brings out the magnifying glass even more. But
Yes.
all that being said, I I don't think that there's a path to victory for Boise State, but I think it's a difficult one. Penn State has to play bad football. They have to turn it over, and Boise has to find some creative ways to keep Genty in the game, even if it's a hard go in the running game up front.
James Franklin just doesn't lose these type of games. When they're favored, he wins.
I was
And
about to say, like, really? Is that where we are with Franklin now?
yeah,
Okay.
when he's not an underdog, they win. Like
Yeah.
when they're a big favorite, they win. And I just think Penn State will be able to lean on them over 4 quarters.
Agree.
I think that running game with Allen and Singleton will be good. I think Drew Aller will just have to kind of manage the game. And there's a weird amount of pressure on Boise in this game. It feels like they have like the entire group of fives, hopes and dreams relying on them. You know what I mean? And it's a weird situation for Boise. I don't like the matchup. Give me Penn State.
I agree. And you're right. It's like, please, football gods, give us a good football game because if not, you're going to see some changes to this format over the offseason, and it is not going to be good for the lower tier teams.
This
Because
is
we have another
exactly
blowout.
this is exactly what's going to happen. If Boise State gets run, the conversation of the group of five should just have its own playoff is going to gain steam.
Mhm.
That will happen if they get beat by 2 or 3 scores and it's just not, it doesn't feel very competitive.
Yep. I know. I don't know if it ends up there. I mean, we've talked about they are going to do everything they can to not admit and not like turn themselves into a second tier. Like, even though we all view it that way now, they're still with the big boys and still have a shot at it all. As soon as you do your own thing and admit that you're not in that category, it changes the whole dynamics of those, not just athletic programs, those schools. I mean, we got to remember college football is about TV contracts, but maybe the bigger thing that no one talks about, it's about tuition. There is a direct link to how good your football team is to what your tuition looks like. So that's why they're going to be very reluctant to ever give it up until they're absolutely forced.
It's about those hidden fees, Ted.
That's right.
A little fees line on it where you're like, fees? What's
Lab
fees?
fee. Lab fee.
All right, let's move on to the next game. And I'm fired up for this one. Texas versus Arizona State in the Peach Bowl, noon on New Year's Day. Texas is a 12.5 point favorite, and there's no way I'm laying that number. It's just too big for me. But with that being said, I'm going to need to see Cam Scattaboo run wild on that Texas defense before I believe it. I I still do not like the way that Quinn Ewers has played this season.
Agree.
And that makes me hesitant about picking Texas to be able to win it all. But I just think that there's going to be a rather large talent gap in this game. And I think it's just going to be too much for Arizona State to overcome, despite the fact that I absolutely love Kenny Dillingham. And I love some of the things that Sam Levitt has said coming into this game. And I love Scattaboo, but I just think that I think Sark has done a really, really good job of building that Texas roster. And it's just, they're too talented and too deep for Arizona State.
The way that Clemson moved the football against Texas, does that give you more hope for Arizona State?
It does, but they did a lot of it through the air. And you got to remember, Tyson, Arizona State's stud receiver, is out. I think Sam Levitt's really, really talented. They're going to have
He's
to.
for sure out for this game.
Didn't he break his collarbone
Oh, you may be right.
in the last? I think he broke his collarbone in their last game of the season.
He needs a collarbone.
Overrated. Collarbones are
Overrated.
overrated.
Totally
But
overrated.
one of the big factors for me is, we weren't sure about what Cam Williams' status was going to be, what Jake Major's status was going to be. Several reports out there that Texas' offensive line is supposed to be intact for this one. And they're arguably the best offensive line in the country when they're whole. So I don't think they're going to be able to gash Arizona State the way that they gashed Clemson with their run game. I think Ewers will have to make some more clutch throws in this game. But I just think Texas is too good. I just don't know. I don't really know what the path to victory is for Arizona State. Like, are they going to have more explosive plays than Texas on offense? I don't know. I just have a hard time seeing that, Ted.
Yeah,
Let me make it clear. I hope Texas loses
right.
because I love Dillingham. I think it would be great for college football as a whole for Arizona State to get this by and then to win a game. I think that'd be great. It'd be really fun for the sport, but
Feels like we kind of need it for this playoff, right? Like it's been chalk all the way across. Feels
right.
like we need something to happen.
Texas's defense, even though Clemson, they put up yards and points. And Cade Klubnik did some really nice things in the passing game. I just I don't know, man. I just think that defense is going to bounce back and they're going to play well, and Texas is going to move on.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't feel good saying it, okay? But it's just like I got to remove my bias. I think Texas is I think they're a better, deeper, more talented football team than Arizona
Yeah,
State.
they are, they are, and that doesn't mean everything, especially in college football. But it feels like these games where there's extended time to prepare, and I still think that Arizona State getting a bye probably not what was best for them. And it doesn't, I'm not talking about they shouldn't have earned it. It should have gone to someone else. I feel like they were incredibly hot and needed to keep playing. That maybe that doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, but I don't know. Like all the time, you kind of let the heat wear off a little bit from the team, but I don't know. It's at the Peach Bowl. I don't think it really impacts the game all that much. But what do you think the breakdown is going to be, fan? Do you think Arizona State shows up in a big way for that game?
You assume so because if you're an Arizona State fan, how many times are you going to have this opportunity?
Right.
Now, if Kenny Dillingham stays there, you probably think you're going to have it a lot.
All their fans are probably like, well, let's hold out for the national championship ticket, right?
No, I would assume there's going to be a lot of Sun Devils there, but we all know how Texas travels.
They
Just a
got a bigger fan
massive
base.
fan base.
Yep.
Going to be a lot of burnt orange in the building.
Yep.
So I don't think Arizona State is going to have. I know they're the higher seed. They're supposed to have a home field advantage when you're the higher seed. They're going to be they're going to be going with the silent count in this one. You know that.
Yep. Yep. No, I just I lean Texas. Also, give us a good game. I mean,
Please.
that's what everyone wants. We want good football games.
I there is one guarantee in this game. At some point, the camera will cut to Kenny Dillingham and he will look completely dumbfounded about something. And I cannot wait. It's going to be awesome.
Yes. A review where he's standing there watching the review video with the referees while he's yelling at them. Wife standing right next to him. Is that going to happen?
As a guy that has a very expressive face, I can relate to Kenny Dillingham constantly being shown and looking ridiculous. That's my life. I get it. I get it. It's okay, Kenny. We are who we are. All right, let's break down these last two games. They're the headliners. Let's be real. But first,
Insurica's launched a new digital agency introducing Insurica Direct. Whether you're in Oklahoma or anywhere across the U.S., they've got you covered. From small business insurance and health insurance for your employees to insurance for individuals like home, auto, and even Medicare supplements. Insurica Direct's got it all. Start your journey today at insuricadirect.com. Remember, at Insurica, we specialize in you.
and head to opolisclothing.com for our podcast merchandise and the best OU gear out there. That's OPOLIS clothing.com and use promo code TED, TED for 10% off. That's opolisclothing.com. Promo code TED for 10% off. Buttery soft and 10% off. Rose Bowl is going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. And I know the people that run the Rose Bowl think very highly of themselves, and those people have to just be on a different level with this one. You've got Ohio State Oregon in the Rose Bowl at 4 p.m. on New Year's Day. The Buckeyes, currently a 2.5 point favorite. I kind of feel like this is going to be a shootout. Everything, I think both offenses, after what Ohio State did to Tennessee and what Oregon has done, let's be real, throughout the entire season. Last time we saw them in the Big Ten championship game, they were just moving the ball and scoring points. I think both offenses are carrying a ton of confidence and momentum into this game. There's weapons all over the field for Will Howard and for Dylan Gabriel. And I think we're going to get a shootout. Or at least I hope we're going to get a shootout on that beautiful Rose Bowl grass. It feels like everything is adding up and pointing to points being scored in this game.
It's crazy. I know it's a rematch, and Oregon won the first one. That was out there at Oregon, right? If we get Will Howard from the Tennessee game, we get Ohio State from the Tennessee game, I think they win and maybe win convincingly. Now, are they able to replicate that? I don't know. That's the best they've looked all year. So was that a one-off? I don't know. Will Howard made some of the best throws of his career in that game. If they get that same type of play from him, I think they're the better football team. I think they have more talent. I think their defensive line is better and is going to be able to put some pressure on Dylan Gabriel. It's just whether or not they show up and play that type of football. I mean, it's really close, but do you give the edge to Ohio State roster wise, like I do?
Yes, I think Ohio State's got the most talented roster in college football.
Yeah.
But I still can't get that Michigan game out of my head, man. I know that Ohio State looked incredible against Tennessee. That was just a complete beatdown. But the Michigan game did happen. And you can say that game's different, but Oregon, Oregon is not far behind Ohio State from a talent perspective at all. Oregon's right up there. Lanning's done a really, really nice job building that roster out. And I just think, hey, Oregon's going to be rested. They're going to be ready to roll. And Dan Lanning gets to play the disrespect card, man. We've all seen the little mini movies they make. Their content team does a great job. He's pretty good when he can find something to grab onto and use that to motivate his football team. But as far as the matchup, which is really what matters, Tennessee was not able to exploit a couple of Ohio State starters on the offensive line being out. I thought they would be able to. They weren't. I think Oregon will be able to. I think their defensive line is talented enough to where we see Will Howard be a little more uncomfortable, especially compared to the way that he was able to sit in the pocket against Tennessee. Maybe I'm crazy. Give me the Ducks. Give me the Ducks. I think they're going to come into this game very confident, knowing that they can beat them because they have, and also feeling a little disrespected. And I think that is a good combination for them to go out and play really well and get a win. I'll take Oregon.
Okay. Let me ask you this. A lot of people, and I think it stands the test of time pretty well, when it's close, go with coach and quarterback. Who's got the best coach and quarterback matchup?
I honestly think it's even because as high as I am on Dan Lanning, that doesn't change the fact that last year, like they lost a lot of their big games, pretty much all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now that has not been the case this year. They're undefeated. They're rolling. But I know Ryan Day's lost to Michigan a lot, but other than that, he's been really, really good.
Yep.
So I
I mean,
think
that's
it's
the question. Does Ohio State have a Michigan problem, or are there real problems within?
I think it's a Michigan problem.
That's what it feels like.
And like Dylan Gabriel versus Will Howard. How about this? These were two guys we were talking about. The guys that got replaced by the young 5-star. Hey, we're going with the young talented guys. And here they are facing off with everything on the line. I mean, it's actually pretty cool.
It is cool. Um, I mean, these two guys played against each other in different uniforms. They've played against each other in these uniforms. I mean, it's funny that the Rose Bowl it's all back to where it started, Pac-12 versus Big Ten, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. I'm this is probably a lot of recency bias because how good Ohio State looked against Tennessee. It's hard for me to look past that. I'm going Ohio State. Now, I think it's incredibly close and it's probably going to come down to a handful of plays, turnovers, maybe something big on special teams, but that performance and how good Ohio State is at wide receiver and I really like their defense. Give me Ohio State.
Is it a more important game for Ryan Day or for Dan Lanning? Feels to me, it feels more important to Ryan Day. Like it feels like more pressure is on him. And I know that's strange because Oregon's the number one seed. They got the bye, they got to rest, but it all goes back to that Michigan game. I don't know. It just feels like there's a ton of pressure on Ryan Day. And in a weird way, the the way that they played against Tennessee has created more pressure because they looked so damn good in that game.
Now,
So now
now you
everyone's
showed everyone.
yeah. So it's just I love all the different dynamics of this game, and I've heard it a lot. I think we've said it on here too. It does feel like this is the national title game. It feels like these are the two teams. These are the two best teams left. Now, you never know what could happen with injuries. Like if a quarterback goes down, things change very, very quickly. But I think these are the two best teams in the country, and I can't I can't wait to watch this. This is going to be awesome.
I think I think the game's more important for Ryan Day because the standard for Ryan Day since he took over that job is national championship. And they've already checked all the other boxes. It's just championship game. Lanning and Oregon are still on the climb, okay? And last year, nice successful year, but this is an opportunity to build on it. They had the undefeated season, they won the Big 10. I think they're still on the ascend and I don't think anyone is going to be questioning the Dan Lanning hire, what the future of that program is moving forward if they lose it. If Ryan Day and Ohio State lose it, I don't think I don't think there's anything is going to change there. But the heat, like should Ohio State lose, there's going to be way more heat on Ryan Day and what he is as a coach compared to if Lanning loses. That's just how it is.
You've got Ohio State. I've got
I got
Oregon.
Ohio State. Yep.
I like it. All right, the nightcap on New Year's Day, Notre Dame versus Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. Georgia currently a 1.5 point favorite, and I'm just going to be honest. I was going to pick Notre Dame to win this game, and then my opinion changed when it came out that Riley Mills was done. I thought that he was going to be a key for that Notre Dame defensive line holding up at the point of attack in this game. Because I think this game is going to be played in a style that Georgia is very comfortable with. Frankly, a style that where Georgia thrives. But I was thinking, hey, Riley Mills is the type of guy he can hold up in the middle of that defensive line, and Georgia won't just be able to gradually pummel them over 4 quarters. I just feel like even though Georgia, Gunnar Stockton is playing quarterback, they've got a backup quarterback making his first start. I I just think that Georgia over 4 quarters is going to be able to lean on them, and that Notre Dame's going to want to play their style. And I just think it's a bad matchup for Notre Dame because that is the style that Georgia is the best at.
Yeah. No, I agree. I still think Georgia, and I know they've got a starting quarterback out. It affects them less than it does anyone else left in this thing. And I mean, I don't know. There's just a level that I expect from Georgia. Notre Dame is really good, but when in doubt, I'm going Georgia, and I'm kind of in doubt right now. So I'm just kind of going. It's like it's like you fall back to the default and you pick Georgia. That's kind of where I'm at on this. I think it's going to be a super low scoring game.
Rock fight.
Yeah,
That's what I'm expecting. And Riley Leonard, like, there's no doubt in my mind that Notre Dame has the advantage at quarterback. Like, Riley Leonard's played a ton of college football. He's done some really good things. Gunnar Stockton has done nothing. But do I trust Riley Leonard to drop back and pick Georgia's defense apart in the passing game? No, I just don't. And there just no doubt he's going to have to make some big time throws in this game for them to get it done. And even though Georgia, this version of Georgia, this season's Georgia is not the juggernaut of the last couple of years, it's still damn good. And the the Texas game happened. And I know that Carson Beck's out, but I know what the best version of Georgia looks like. And I'm expecting to see something close to that
yeah,
in this game because I think Kirby Smart is as good as anyone in college football at getting his team ready to go for a big game. And I, I'm with you. Maybe you've put it the best way. I'm defaulting to Georgia.
yeah. And their offense is going to have to be better. Whenever Beck went out for the second half against Texas in the SEC championship, offensively, they were reduced to runs and pass plays at the line of scrimmage. Right? They really didn't do anything down the field at all. They're going to have to be better. And I expect with Stockton, with time at the helm and being able to, build the offense around him a little bit, that's not going to be the case. He's going to have to make some high level throws, though. I mean, that's where you're at on this level. The interesting thing to me is, I where we're sitting right now. I think if Georgia loses to Notre Dame, there's a strong chance that you may have 2 years in a row without an SEC team in the national championship. When's the last time that happened?
Shocking.
I don't know.
Wouldn't necessarily be the worst thing for the sport.
No, that's true.
You've got Georgia.
I got Georgia.
I've got Georgia.